Hello, folks. How are we doing tonight? I think I've changed this show 3 or 4 times by now, and I've definitely changed the content. As you can see, things look a little different here tonight. No 2-row, only Serpent. That's because tonight Jeremy's going to speak on his own behalf. I don't want to offend any traditional people in the process, so we've removed the 2-row for tonight's show. And I'm going to show you something quickly here that pertains to exactly what we're here to talk about tonight. I don't know if I missed anybody. Good evening. Good evening. Julie, hello, how are you? This is pretty important. Pretty important, especially with everything we're about to talk about. Border's about to go on strike, eh? The Border Service. How's that for timing, eh? Tracy Watts, how you doing? How's that for timing? Well, it's this guy has really good videos. I'll pop his links in the bottom as well. He's well, he says who he is in here, but I've done some digging on this after I watched this video this morning. It's 100% factual, and not only is it factual, the Liberals have already hinted that they are not going to be having any discussions to do with this. So I'm just gonna play this quick. Oh, why isn't it playing? My bad. Let's start it over.
And Border Services Agency is going on strike. 9,000 members.
So as an ex-immigration consultant, I can tell you exactly why the Canadian government is allowing these people to go on strike. And that is because of all the migrants and immigrants coming into Canada. There's nobody there now to protect those borders. So more can come through. You see, in the United States, they've learned that if they just allow them to come over the border, the agents are there and people can point the fingers at them and say, hey, why didn't the agents do anything? But if they go on strike, well, guess what? They don't get blamed for anything, and the government still looks great. This is just a distraction tool just to get more immigrants into the country illegally. There you have it.
So obviously that gentleman, he's 110% correct, and there's no coincidence in the timing to this. So first we're going to talk about the narrative, and then we're going to talk about the counter narrative, because they're both coincidentally working in time with one another to psyop you. But luckily, I know a guy who kind of takes an interest in psyops, and one might say that I've been working on pretty hard to figure out the psyops. I've involved myself in some. I was pulled into some. For a long time, I wondered, what the fuck? And excuse my language, but there's no better way to put that. Now, I don't wonder that anymore. I know why I had to go through some things. I know why a lot happened. It all makes sense. It's crazy, but it all adds up, and it all added up for a while. It took a lot longer than that to get the evidence and follow the tracks. And so this is what the government has planned for you. In the United States this week, they are starting to vaccinate the farm workers and the livestock for the avian flu. Now, what just happened last week? I come on and I said, time for a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a celebration, but I said, I believe my words were, give yourselves a little pat on the back. They postponed the WHO treaty because so many countries were backing out. However, in that same live, I read you the article, and I stressed 3 times that Tedros is the chair of the World Health Organization. He's the one you see with the glasses, always giving the addresses. He said, quote, in that article, that we are going to do everything we can to see to it that this gets signed. And why would he say that? Well, this is why he would say that. Right now, in New York City and in Geneva, there's some big meetings happening. One is the Bilderberg, one is the huge Geneva meeting that they have once a year. Sorry. Now, you can bet your ass that what they are doing at both of those meetings is conspiring anything they can, which they already have the big one, the avian flu, but they are conspiring to make their final moves. Why are they going to make their final moves? Well, Donald Trump was just found guilty on all charges. Anyone in their right mind who can read and has taken a slight interest in this and doesn't just watch CNN knows that there have been dozens of circumstances where the evidence is proven false, the judge is proven corrupt. What they're doing here is provoking civil war in the United States. But they're also about to provoke civil war in Canada. And that is by backdooring you into a new pandemic. Why would they backdoor you into a new pandemic? To get the WHO treaty signed. Most judges out there are corrupted. Absolutely. That's why we need to destroy the maritime law system. It should always be nothing but a jury. It should not be a crown selected jury. But anyways, aside from the point, this is how they get the WHO treaty signed, because they're going to create a pandemic, which we already saw the leaked video of Theresa Tam, on there with close to a dozen others conspiring to start this pandemic, this second pandemic. That's how they're going to guilt these countries who've dropped out into it. Now, they can't do that with the United States, because in the United States, you had 49 Republican senators come forward, sign a piece of law that states 2/3 of Senate needs to say yes to the WHO treaty in order for it to ever be signed. That has already gone through Congress. It's already gone through the Supreme Court. It is stamped. That cannot happen. So they need civil war in the States, because this is the role of the WHO. The WHO takes your rights, while the UN takes your land. They both have an agenda under the World Economic Forum, and they both are failing at their agenda. Now, they're about to make a big push for both, and this is how they're going to do so. While Trudeau conspires his narrative, his pandemic, they're also using the counter narrative to fool you into rising with Hamas. As you can tell, the Palestine protests are not the same as what they were a month ago. They've become radical. Everything is, if you go back to the originals, not all their tents were matching. They didn't have all these big supplies. But like we always say, everything good has been infiltrated. They're going to rise with Hamas. This Asman Métis nation, fake ones, I should say. No disrespect to the Red River Métis. They're going to fool Canadians into rising like they did with the convoy. But you're going to be rising with Hamas unknowingly. And the reason they want to do that is so that they can invoke the EMA. Why do they want to invoke the EMA? Because they're failing. What they can do the day they invoke the EMA is 53, which takes the land and the right. 53, which takes the land and the rights of the natives and makes it a Métis nation. they'll put it through overnight. 63, which basically makes anything that disagrees with the government, fossil fuels, climate narrative, hate speech. They can also go back 3 years on it. Coincidentally, 3 years. Convoy. And if anybody assumes that you are going to say something hateful, well, you can go to jail for 20 years. So they're going to pass 63 the day they invoke the EMA as well, because then they can round up everybody who is against the government and who does not want to willingly walk their way into a biodigital prison, because that is what is happening here. UNDRIP will go through. The WHO treaty will go through then. This is what they'll do. So how? We know how the government's going to do it. They'll just do it. They'll say, "Oh no, we got to keep you home. It's not safe to go outdoors." Just like they have sold most of the public that having no carbon on this planet would benefit them. If there was no carbon on the planet, we'd all be dead. So would the trees. So would anything we eat. The fact that they have been able to convince carbon beings to rid the planet of carbon shows how stupid the masses are, and I don't say that lightly. It's a fact. That's all there is to it. So that's how they'll do it. But what about the counter narrative? Now, this is why I removed the 201 because this is me speaking, not my group, not anybody I represent. I don't represent anybody for the record. I just support facts and concrete history and the real law and true people that like to do things out of their heart. Now, a lot of the freedom movement doesn't like that because a lot of the freedom movement is actually against you. Most of you see that by now. My inbox probably has 400 messages from the last month that I haven't gotten back to. That's what I'm going to spend the next 24 hours doing, so I apologize. I have not been ignoring you. I warned you 2 months ago that I was going to give Messenger a break. Well, I kind of regret how much of a break I've given it because now it's... But I'm not going to put it off any longer. Tomorrow you can expect a message from me, and I appreciate anybody who has reached out. Don't take it personal. It's been a rough 2 months. So let's get into it. As you can see, there's a lot of people coming back to the light who haven't done a whole lot in a long time. There's a lot of things ramping up. There's a lot of events being planned. Now, I'm not going to come on here and start throwing out names. I refuse to do that. So it's going to be up to you to connect the dots. There will come a day when we're at that point. But I believe that before July 11th, and when I say I believe, everybody I pitched this idea to also thinks that this is pretty damn accurate. Now keep in mind, the border service agents are about to go on strike. 9,000 border service agents. And the government has stated through numerous avenues that they will not be doing talks with them. So what that tells us, like we said at the beginning, the government wants the borders unoccupied. The government wants immigration to flood in. What happens then? We create chaos. We create more divide. We create more Hamas. Most of these individuals who've been crossing the borders for 4 years, they're all 20 to 35-year-old men. Many are Chinese. It's not looking good. So these events have started, and there's a lot of money being raised at them. But I don't like to call them events. I like to call them paid-up parties. So there's a lot of paid-up parties coming out. And coincidentally, there's a couple of cross-country tours going on with certain groups at the moment as well. I see one's in Newfoundland, but they'll be back in Nova Scotia just in time for this next paid up party. JD Anderson. JD Anderson is the chief who shakes hands with the king. He is not for the natives. He is for the Métis narrative, the takeover. He is right in with Justin Trudeau. JD Anderson was spotted with one of the leaders of the Save the Children convoy down in Nova Scotia last week. Funny, eh? And there's going to be some information passed around at that event that happens. Well, then somebody appeared in Ottawa today who's from the States, but somebody that we have evidence is tied directly to all the top people of the Freedom Convoy that we have evidence on, tied to Jen Como, tied to Joseph, whatever the hell his name is. And she was standing out in front of the Parliament building today as if she owned the place. She's here for a reason. Well, they're going to be convoying from that event in Nova Scotia to the Winnipeg event on the 21st, the solstice event. That event is going to be something else. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of ties to that event, and it doesn't smell good at all. And see, it's not easy for me to come on here and talk about this stuff because it is a little heartbreaking. It might not seem heartbreaking when you hear me speak about it, but that's because I've had to go through quite a bit of it. But for many, it will be heartbreaking. The next month is going to be a very good month, but you're going to have to come to some realizations, and you're going to have to come to them very quickly. There's another event happening after that Winnipeg event. That's in Victoria. And Victoria and Winnipeg are very important places. Victoria is the birthplace of UBC, is the birthplace of much of the corruption inside the freedom movement. And we started down that path about 6 months ago probably 5 months ago, when somebody who I thought was a very close friend of mine completely stabbed me in the back. And then I found this old picture of them, dated about 10, 15 years prior. And she's with a group of women in front of a building going like this. That was our big lead into, well, I shouldn't say our big lead. That was our big key of connecting a lot of leads into BC. As we have told you, this means deceit. It does not mean I love you. It's used all throughout the freedom movement. On cartoon images or memes, it can be anybody. But how they get individuals to use it in the movement is they get their kids to do it. And when I say they, I forget what number we were at about 2 months ago, but Andrew can attest that we had over 200 different families using their children in this manner. And it's not just a coincidence, because we tie them to other things as well, and then we really dug, and then we got the things we got. Then we met some new people, and yeah, like I said, now we're here. Moral of the story is July 11th is Trump's sentencing. Now, let's get one thing straight. I don't think politics is the answer here. I no longer am a massive Trump fan. I don't have anything against Trump right now, but I've not chosen the political route. I want great law of peace restored. I want natural law for Turtle Island. If Trump is who he says he is, then I can't see him really being against that either. Aside from the matter, we have to understand that odds are that he's not who he says he is. Because this Q, I can tell you for one thing, is not what it says it is. Some of the biggest corruptions in the Canadian freedom movement are tied to the US through Q. They tie back to California, and it's actually through the Democrats. That is all shit I can prove. However, they're not going to let this election happen. Because even if Trump isn't all in for the people, he's going to make some fucking changes immediately. It's going to look like he's for the people immediately, and a lot of people are going to go down. It'll be a good couple of years. I'm not saying that if he's not for us, you'll know right away. It will look, and same for Pierre Poilievre. The first couple months will look very good. They'll delay things a little more, but then you'll get to see who they really are. And that is why, rather than putting faith into another individual, into another party, it would be crazy for us to waste this opportunity to not go back to natural law. And we don't need an individual to lead us there. We do not. It is by the people, for the people. It's Mother Earth. It's, we don't need somebody to tell us how to do it. We need to be taught old ways from certain groups and nations, but we don't need a leader. We need to lead ourselves independently. So July 11th, that's when he's going to be sentenced. July 1st, here, obviously, is Canada Day. July 4th being Independence Day. I really want everybody to pay attention. When people are spending money like it's going out of style and asking you for money, that should be all you need to see. But it's not that easy for everybody. What I am going to tell you is that I am begging every single one of you to tread fucking wisely over the coming weeks. If you cannot see how the government used the convoy to gain complete control of the narrative, counter narrative by now, you will over the coming weeks. We're going to expose it. Like I said, I've made my deadline June 21st because I fear that if I let it go any longer than that, a lot of people might get hurt. So we've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of moving around to do. So our days off are going to be very fucking busy. I don't know how we're even going to pull off everything that we need to pull off. And that's why we need people to start paying attention. We need people to come back to their heart. We need people to start doing the research. Last night, I shared a live, Stuart of the Longhouse. And it's very important that you watch that. Now, I know it's long, but even if you have to break it into 4 days this week, an hour a day, please watch it. I'm just waiting on for permission because I wanted to ask respectfully before doing so. But as long as I get the permission, I'm going to be starting to clips out of it because I understand not everybody has the time to watch it live. But I guarantee, and I am going to clip this out of my live here right now, and you can mark my words. I guarantee if each and every one of you watch that live, you will know everything I've spoke of for the last few months. You will understand everything of what is going on right now. You will understand why they did the things they did to me. And it's not even about me, it's about them. But you'll understand where the corruption comes from. It's not about me at all. It's about all of us. It was monumental. I'm going to start rewatching it for a second time because it's that important. And I'm taking notes because I'm going to be ready in hopes that I get that yes, that I know what times to go to already, because everything we have said came from the horse's mouth last night on that live. Stuart of the Longhouse is the traditional man. He is. You need to watch it. You need to start paying attention to the things that we are saying. And that's not me telling you, that's me begging you. In about 30 days, you're going to wish you did if you don't. And I really don't want to see that happen to anybody. I am sorry if you have been deceived. If you have deceived and now regret it, I hold no grudges. Come back into your heart. Come back to the people because things are being planned. And if you go watch that live last night, you will understand. And if you don't understand, well, we're going to be here every day to explain more to you. And you can, our sister's there in the comments. I haven't read what she said yet. But if people think I'm fucking bluffing here, I am coming to you from my heart out of concern. But I am not concerned. I am concerned that people are being misled. I am not concerned with our situation. Because I know, and I'm doing the work in the history. We are literally going through history counterclockwise. Because as I've been saying, you cannot expect to change the future if you do not understand how we got here. And it's not them deciding something. It's not them deciding something. There is law. There is real treaties that were established. They've been conquered and ignored because we allow it to happen. People are not going to allow that to happen anymore. And if you watch that live, you will understand. I am hoping and praying that we can get this message out on a large scale. But you have to understand that the 2-row 1 pump, okay, we're done with the corruption here. So I'm just going to bring this back here for a second. We're done with the corruption. Let's switch things back here just a second. I don't like this old look. Is our logo back? Let's finish with a teaching here. Okay? Because I know there's people out there and they think, well, that's a native flag. Well, it's a native land. It's not any of the conversations I've ever been a part of. It's not any of the conversation teachings I've gotten. This is a white proposition. The Dutch proposed this. That is why I carried this. So to these fake people who said I was disgracing their culture, to show you how little these pretendians know, this is not their flag, it's the white man's. And our sister can attest to that as well. This is our proposition to the natives. This was the Dutch proposition for peace. It's not a native flag. It's our flag. It's our coming together flag. And that is why we don't like to speak corruption with it in the camera. So set this back over here. This we're pretty much done here for tonight. My back's killing me. I've got this is so spiritual it's not even funny. We'll just tell you what happened over the last little bit. So I've got an ear something going on. I'm super swollen here. My whole collarbone and shoulder blade, it's fucked. My left knee is fucked. I bonked my head on the tree this morning. Things are out to get us. Let me take this hat off. You got a teaching from the tree today. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But we're still look at everything that's happened the last 2 months. I'm still sitting here smiling for you guys every day. I refuse to allow the negativity to come on here. And I'm gonna put thank you, Carlene. I'm gonna put everything we speak about in here. I'm gonna take like 5 when I finish, and then as I listen to it again, I'm gonna put the links in. As you saw in the caption, I asked people. I forget what I was saying before, but don't worry, Carlene. I'm not. It's been a lot, and I haven't stopped. There's nothing they can do that'll stop me, because I know too much. We know too much. So I made a big post last night. There we go. She spelled it out there for everybody, but I will put the direct link in when we're done here. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow me to do it while we're live. If I do, it won't let you guys click it, so that's why I wait until we're done. So I made a post last night, and I showed this. And this is an example of things we're putting together. That one is all the Crusades. So that is 1147 to 1272. And I'll be honest, there's nothing's going to stop what's coming. Man, I hate when people come on here and push Q. I fell for Q as well, folks. I hate that it's pushed on while people are talking about other things. I hate that. And that's nothing against you, Danielle. It's a lot of people are still sold on this Q thing. And just to kind of give you a little eye opener there, if Q and God go hand in hand in this great plan, it's awfully entitled for people to think they can sit back and that everything's just going to be taken care of for them. Everybody thinks just going to be okay. Don't worry. Don't stress. You can't stop what's coming. Don't worry. That is how they got the American control of the counter narrative. The same thing we're all dealing with the freedom movement here in Canada. Well, that's how they got y'all in the States. People are like, oh no, Q's got us. So you don't do anything. That's what it's for. And I'm sorry to be the one to break that to you, but it's we're 4 years in now. They still have people in prison for the setup at January 6th. If that wasn't your eye opener, that you can't trust them, I don't know. And then Donald Trump puts out this documentary, The Greatest Show on Earth. That was in February. Still nothing has happened. So, I mean, a lot of kids dying every day, a lot more corruption going through every day. Um, I'll believe it when I see it. Until then, please don't push people sitting back and waiting on my page because that's not going to get us anywhere. And don't take it personal. If you do, I'm sorry, but we're just spitting facts here. I think I'm pretty much done for tonight. I don't remember what I was saying either because I get distracted by Q. I got out everything I needed to. There's a lot. There's a lot to do. So, if people want to help out rather than keep following these narratives blindly, let us know. We'd love to have you. Come back into your heart. See the truth. It's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. I'll finish with this line. If these leaders of the movement actually cared about freedom, why are they using Crown prosecutors and using your money to do so? Have a good night.